Welcome everybody to a new session here visiting interesting companies in Israel. Today I have the honor to visit Stephanie from raum here at WeWork in Tel Aviv.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me here. Tell me first a little bit, as usual, about yourself.
So my name's Stephanie. I moved from the US in 2005, and I've been here pretty much ever since. I did a year in London. Mm-hmm. I've been working in investments for the past 3 years. I'm a surfer. I love to be outside, and I love what I do.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about what you do, if you love it so much.
Yeah. So I think raum is the early stage incubator and investment vehicle of Deutsche Telekom. And it's super unique, I think, because if you look at all the trends, I think, in venture capital, where it's much more difficult to get investment, it's much more difficult to raise at these valuations that we're used to raising and we're used to hearing about in Silicon Valley. I think that corporate investments are on the rise. And if you think about what a valuation is and why we invest in companies, it's to bring value to us or to something. And inherently, if a corporate invests in a company, that company creates added value for the corporate. If it's a pure financial model, sometimes the exits will be greater and the money can be greater, but the risk is also greater. But if I can find a great technology that can leverage what I already have as Deutsche Telekom, as a big global telecom provider, and I can then give added value to my consumers and continue to innovate, keep up with WhatsApp, keep up with Snapchat, engage my customers, I think that's really the most useful part about investing, and that's why we, instead of just taking programs to partner with us and taking startups to integrate into our system, we also invest in them because we understand that that's the way of the future, and that it puts a little bit of our skin in the game. Usually also the cutting edge technologies are the ones that are going to exit, but as in Europe and as in Germany, the thought is less about exit strategy, it's more about building something big and sustainable.
Interesting. I mean, like this concept of buying or investing in startups, we know already from many years ago from the biotech sector, but it seems now that slowly the big companies also get into that and they realize that startups are a unique way to grow the business. Tell me, why did the Deutsche Telekom feel that Israel is the place to be?
Well, I think that there's no illusion that Israel is the place to be. I think that everybody knows that now. But also Deutsche Telekom has a rich history with Israel. So T-Labs, which is a whole other division where they develop technology sort of outsourced, I guess, in cooperation with T-Labs in Beersheva, has been working with Deutsche Telekom for many years. So the now push to have raum and the partnering team and Deutsche Telekom Capital Partners all have an office here is a bit newer. raum's been in Israel for a good year and a half, 2 years, and I think that the decision was understanding that it's more accessible. Just like for Israelis to go to Europe, it's a lot more accessible as a go-to-market strategy because it's closer, it's more cost efficient, and you still have huge markets. It's not, it doesn't stop you from going to the US afterwards. And I think that in the same way, Deutsche Telekom realized, we don't have any of this. We don't have a raum in San Francisco, but we have one in Tel Aviv, one in Krakow, and one in Berlin, because these are sort of the hubs at the moment in terms of the fields that we're looking into and the kind of technologies that complement what we already have. And I think Israel was just like a really obvious, important place to be, and I know that this keeps getting solidified every time I go back. They think Israel is so important as a model, as an innovation sort of structure, as how can we take Israel and how it's managed to really build this innovative environment in the midst of a lot of other crazy political things that happen in the background. And Germany, Berlin is sort of doing the same thing, and their startup scene is becoming super active, and same with Poland, places that you wouldn't necessarily think there would be a lot of hidden treasure. There is.
Yeah, very interesting. Also, let's go a little bit into the investments that raum already did here in Israel. I mean, you mentioned briefly Snapchat and WhatsApp before. What are interesting, let's say, sectors or companies that are interesting for you?
So if you think about Deutsche Telekom as a company, there are so many different divisions within this massive giant. So it leaves us really open to a lot of different varieties and different verticals. We look a lot into IoT. I think that especially our added value is being a connectivity partner and being able to connect everything. So IoT is really important to us, which goes then into connected cars and a little bit into smart homes, smart cities. So these are very big search focuses, but also cybersecurity, because with all of our offerings, we need to know and be able to offer our customers a safe environment to operate these devices. And another thing is, customer engagement platforms. How can we Snapchat with our customers? How can, we be, everybody likes to hate their telephone provider. We know that from every country and everywhere. So the idea is, how can we make them more connected to us so that they don't feel so frustrated? We've all been on the phone for hours trying to fix like the Wi-Fi in our house. Mm-hmm. And if we can find a way to streamline those processes a little bit more, it also helps us with our customer retention and can win new customers. So those are the main areas. Obviously, we go a little bit to here and to there.
Very interesting. So, mainly I have on the show here, I have startups, entrepreneurs. Recently I had Aidan Shochet, he was one of the first ones from Aleph. Tell me a little bit, like, what does it look like from the investment, I would say, cycle now here in Israel? I mean, like, most of the entrepreneurs I speak to, they say, like, it's getting harder to find funding. How does it look from the other side?
I think Israel, somebody, I forget who it was, somebody described it really well, that Israel, there's all questions, is Israel a bubble? Is the bubble going to burst? Yeah. But I don't think we're a bubble. I think we're more like bubble gum. So like the bubble that you blow is a reflection as to the markets outside. So like if the United States is booming and the bubble is growing, then like our little bubble will also be growing. But if if it's going to start detracting, ours will also detract. But I don't think that we're facing like a burst or a pop. I don't think that could happen, because we're so dependent on the benchmarks that we're getting from Europe and from, especially, I think, the States. I think it is getting harder, but I think that's not just here. I think it's harder in general to raise money. Like, if you could raise money in 2000 on a PowerPoint, you can't do that anymore. Consumer apps are getting more, the markets are more saturated. Everybody has a startup. You look at Israel, literally everybody has a startup. So I think that just that fact makes it more difficult, because more people are going after money. Yeah. But I think that the good ideas are still getting funded. And I think, we saw this last weekend, 2 cyber companies were funded like a few million. So
for sure.
I think that the market's still there. It just depends on what you're looking at.
Very good. Thank you very much, Stephanie, for this insights into the Israeli industry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon with another episode.
Thanks.